Good evening, everyone. It's April 15th. Have you paid your taxes yet? Have you filed? Actually, I don't usually start a meeting like this, but actually there is a disaster declaration that allows people in Tennessee because of the recent storms to delay filing until November. So if something's happened and you didn't actually get that, I think that came down yesterday. So now you aren't in a rush to get it done in the next 6 hours. But anyway, meeting is called to order at 6 o'clock. April 15th, and this is meeting of the Gallatin City Council. We begin all of our meetings with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening, Councilman Pastor Alexander is going to offer our invocation. Vice Mayor Hayes will lead us in the pledge, and I will ask you all to stand with me, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's pray. God, you are good to us, and we just pause on this holy week before Easter and say thank you for your love, for your care, for your provision. We just ask tonight that your presence would be in this place, that you would give us a unity of mind and hearts, Father, and as we discuss the business of this city, we give you thanks in advance in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Ms. Kittrell, your roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Hayes.
Present.
Councilman Alexander.
Present.
Councilman Carter.
Present.
Councilman Fan.
Here.
Councilman Fennell.
Here.
Councilman Jones.
Here.
And Councilman Juvance. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. This evening, you all have 2 sets of minutes for consideration for approval. The first is from March 18th. The second set is from April 1st. And I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Jones, second by...
Second.
Thank you. Second by Councilman Juvance. Are there any additions or corrections requested? Councilman Juvance.
On the April 1st meeting at the end, when the meeting was adjourned, I voted no.
Duly noted. Correct, Ms. Kittrell? Okay.
For April Fools.
Oh. So this was an April Fool's joke, what you just did, or no?
No.
That was then? Okay, yeah. Motion to adjourn is non-debatable, but, okay. So, but I would suggest making that change to the minutes for future reference, just for entertainment purposes. So, anyone else, corrections or additions? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes from 3:18 and 4:1, please say aye. Opposed, say no. Minutes are approved. We'll now go to public recognition on agenda-related items. There is one public hearing this evening. It is on the plan of service report presented by our city planner, Mr. Rose, last week. That will be the first item on the agenda. There is also a time for public recognition at the end of the meeting. That is the time to speak to items that are not on the evening's agenda. But if there is an item that's on the evening's agenda that you would like to speak to, now would be the time for public recognition. We ask that you come forward. We need your name and your address for the record, and you may speak for 5 minutes. With that, public recognition on agenda-related items is now open.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor Brown. I'm Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike, and I'm here to talk about an agenda item that none of y'all want to talk about. The biggest, most complicated, most expensive project we've done. Yet only one of you has asked any questions or wants to discuss the cost to citizens of Project Phoenix. And when he asks questions and wants to discuss it, you mock and ridicule his questions, saying things like, we can't talk about logistics because we don't know what we're going to do yet, because the developer hasn't presented us with a plan yet, and things like, the cost is in the study, but it's not. The cost should include every option, including logistics, for each of the different options. For example, how much will it cost to move the entire City Hall operations and staff temporarily to a different facility, and how much will rent cost on a 10,000 square foot office building? And is there even anything like that available in Gallatin? And will it require any build out? And what's the expense for that? And how many years of rent? And then a second massive move back into a new City Hall building. And are you going to move all the old furniture into a new building? Or will a new building require new furniture, and how much will that cost? And remember, it's our money that you're fixing to spend. It's not your money. It's the citizens' hard-earned tax dollars. I remember that you all voted that the city would do its due diligence while the developer was doing theirs. Well, where is it? Who did it? Last week, the developer said they are about to spend a significant amount of money on design. So they need to know if we are keeping the City Hall building or tearing it down to build a new one. How are we at this point without the city's due diligence done to know if we can afford either of these options? None of you will talk about the money. Why? Anyone who is planning to undertake a building project looks at all the different options and the cost and logistics for each option. The fact that you actually said that you can't look at logistics until you know what you are going to do, well, that sounds to me like either you are incompetent, or even worse, you are playing a confidence game and are trying to con us. If you won't talk about the money, is it because you know that it is a giant money pit for us citizens? This whole thing and the lack of transparency from all of you regarding how you are planning to spend our money reminds me of two things. The first is when Nancy Pelosi said, we have to pass a bill so we can show you what's in it. The citizens' business should not be done in secret. You should be letting us know what you are planning to do with our money. The second quote that comes to mind is from Luke 14, when Jesus said, but don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction on a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of money, and then everyone would laugh at you. They would say, there's the person who started that building and couldn't afford to finish it.
Anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition? Okay, public recognition on agenda-related items is closed. That allows me and this body to address public comment made. There is no scenario in which any money is going to be spent on any construction for City Hall or for any other building without it being approved by this body. And where we are and what we have talked about Project Phoenix is there's a lot to know before we know what the cost is. But no dime would be spent without this body knowing what the plan was and which direction we are going. But we need direction so we can find those things out in time. Mayor's comments. A couple of things I do want to mention. The first really fun thing that happened last weekend was the Sumner County Museum's barn dance. They were celebrating 50 years, and they had a barn dance out at Cragfont. It was tremendous. Well done by the museum, primarily by very few people, but it was a great event, well enjoyed. At this, they actually celebrated, in addition to the anniversary of the museum, which there were some of the original founders there, they celebrated what will be 100 years of, I always say it wrong, Dr. Humphrey Bate, and it used to be, what's the name of it? The Augmented String Band, back 100 years ago. The Augmented String Band became Dr. Humphrey Bate and the Possum Hunters. And they were the first string band to play on the Grand Ole Opry and played for many years on the Opry. And so the 100-year, and the band was based here in Sumner County. That's the whole point of this. And so, to celebrate them as well, there's an album being made, or has been made, through Vol State in cooperation with the music production folks over there, where our local band, or not just our local band, they also have people in Macon County, descendants of the original band, some of the exact same instruments that were played by the original band have been used to record this album. So this album is going to be sold as a fundraiser for the Sumner County Museum, and through their website, you can figure out how to order in advance. So I want you to know about that because it was a really neat thing, and they also played it at the event this weekend. A couple of things coming up. Tomorrow is the American Red Cross Blood Drive at the Civic Center. That's from 11 to 4. On the 17th is the Sumner and Macon County Special Olympic Games at the White House Municipal Park. There's a Silver Sneakers Luncheon at the Civic Center on Thursday. This Friday is Good Friday. Councilman Alexander, thank you for recognizing in your prayer the importance of this week. We appreciate that. Also, the 4th annual VIP Friends Egg Hunt at the Gallatin Miracle Park. That happens from 11 to 1. This Saturday, there's a clothing giveaway at the Civic Center, rooms 102 and 3, 8 to 1. The NAACP community meeting is happening at First Baptist Church on that day from 10 to 12:30. Next week, on the 23rd, is the, and I forget what it stands for, women's
Empowering,
Women Empowering.
learning.
It's going to be a great event. I'm one of the speakers. It's happening next week. It's the summit. It's happening at the station. It's from 8:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. On the 24th is the Sumner County Youth Job and Opportunity Fair. That's Gallatin High School from 11:30 to 3:30. And then next Friday is Good Morning Gallatin at the station. And the featured speakers next week are EMA and EMS, and that happens from 7:30 to 9. Then coming up on the 26th, Square Fest, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and the Antique and Classic Car Show that happens on Saturdays, I guess beginning that weekend through the summer, and that happens at the Civic Center. Well, Robbie, I should probably get you to expand on this, but FXE Wrestling is happening at the Civic Center on the 27th. With that, I'll wrap up Mayor's comments, and we'll move now to the regular agenda. And the first item on the regular agenda is public hearing on the Plan of Service Report 2025. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is public hearing Plan of Service Report 2025.
The public hearing is now open. You may come forward to speak to it if you so desire.
Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike. As usual, I'm here, just like every year, to put on the record that the city is in default on prior plans of services. Thank you very much for publishing the Plan of Service Report. I did speak at length, I guess it was probably a month or so ago, or maybe it was longer, and it put on the record again about the Long Hollow Pike 2008 annexation, so I will not need to actually put all that on the record again. I've done it multiple times over the years, but I do want to point out a few things that I think need to be fixed in the Plan of Service Report, because it does have everything listed as complete or listed as being done by the developer for every single annexation except for the 2008 and the 2012. But there are some things that are actually that's not accurate for. So, for example, the Bledsoe Springs annexation in the fire protection, it was actually said that the fire department station number 6 would to be considered as part of this project. So that's in the Plan of Service, so that probably should also be amended. Otherwise, it can't be listed as complete because it's actually not complete as the wording that's in that. And then also for Woolhawk, under the fire protection for that one is also stating that fire station number 6 is to be considered as part of this project. And then also for the Twin Eagles Phase 15 Plan of Service, that one, it was a different fire station, and it's saying that the construction for fire station number 7 in the vicinity of the Meadows development was to be considered as part of that development. So these are all things that are listed as complete, but they are not. So those should be, I think, amended. These plans of services should be amended, and then it could just be listed complete. And then if those other things that were talked about last week were also amended for the 2012 and 2008, if those were amended by you all, then that could also be complete, and you would not have to do this every single year, and you won't have to hear from me every year, because it will be done. But that's it. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in this public hearing? Okay, seeing no one, public hearing on the plan of service report is now closed. We'll move now to second reading on ordinance 02407-33. Councilman Juvance is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning 5.96 acres from the mixed-use zone district to the PGC, Planned General Commercial Zone District, with an amended preliminary master development plan for Sand Creek Preston Park condo storage, located north of Nashville Park and east of Warwick Road, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And I move.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve from Councilman Juvance.
Second.
Okay, a second by Councilman Carter. Do you all recall the discussion on this, because it's been a bit?
Yes.
Any questions?
Is this the auto condo? Okay. It was a long time ago.
Councilman Juvance?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the developer on that and all the team behind it, because I think that's the way that happened is how that should happen. It's in my district, and the citizens who are living around it were not happy with the development, and that's what put a stop to it. And the developer went door by door to talk to the majority of the people, to present them with the development, and ask them how he could done it better, included everything in there, and made them on an agreement to approve on what's going to be done. So I think that's how that should be done. I have no problem with it. I voted no the second time because my constituent didn't want it, but they came back to me and tell that the developer did a great job and they're okay with it, so I will be voting yes. But I think that's the perfect example of how development will going to impact life of people for the rest of their life should be treated.
Anything changed, or is it just as it was from the beginning?
Yes.
Mayor, I have some comments too, but I think Craig is in the
No,
queue.
I think one of the biggest issues was that I think that the development agreed to take over I'm assuming it's a retention pond, or pond that they had. So that took some,
I heard that today, but I don't understand what that
I
has to
guess
do
that took
with
some
it.
liability off of them. So yeah, that was a big issue right there, that helped out. So that was one issue, so.
Go ahead, Councilman Fennell.
This is something that I have been around a long time. I'm not against this development at all, but even tomorrow, as I will be traveling to Peru, Indiana, to one of these same type of developments. I'm around this quite a bit, and there's just questions that I was asking Andy Leith today that I never did get any answers to. When you get a group of guys together, and then you have buildings with automobiles and stuff, there's going to be work to be done. There's going to be racks inside there. There's going to be testing and tuning. And it come back to me that now that they're saying they're going to use these buildings for storage only, my concern is how close is all this development to any neighborhoods. That would really make a difference on how I vote. And even getting down to the air compressors. Anybody's got one of these buildings, like I said last time, I bought an air compressor just because of the noise. I mean, I bought a screw compressor because it's a lot quieter, but for years I had a compressor that worked off pistons and cylinders. And some of the neighbors, even behind my house over behind Triple Creek down in Greystone, I mean, you would think that you couldn't hear that, but you could go over there, and even though my compressor, I even moved it inside, you could still hear it hammering just all the time. And then you take somebody, well, they're going to change a carburetor. Well, Paul knows this. He's involved in it. People's going to be revving their engines up. People's going to have open headers. People's going to be wanting to do interior work, paint work. And I'm not against that. But is there a time limit on what time are they supposed to be wrapping things up as far as the noise? How far is it to the houses? And
Not to interrupt, but you're going in the direction that I'm having concern about. And I mean, I realize that somebody can say that they will do these things or not do these things, but in what way can they memorialize that? Because the city can't dictate that. And so we had suggested to them like an HOA type document.
And that's what they were going to do.
But
I mean, even the houses across the street from my business, I own those. I own a lot of that neighborhood over there. And even some of my renters complain because I've got some guys that go down there at night and just work. And, you've got to run things and see how things are, even when it's got exhaust on it, or even the toolages that we use, the grinders, the welders, the pipe benders, all that stuff, noise travels. And when it's hot outside, your doors are going to be open. And you're going to hear this stuff. You're going to smell the smells. I mean, that concerns me. I don't know. I don't even remember who the gentleman is, but I'd like to bring him up to try to tell me what he's got in store.
Motion
Like I
to
said,
suspend the
I'm
rules.
for cars. I'm not against this, but when you get a bunch of car guys around, this is what's going to happen. Even some of our storage buildings that we use, our mini storages, people use them to work in.
I know, and that's the concern. Motion by Councilman Juvance to suspend the rules. Second by you, Councilman Carter? Yes, ma'am. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, representative for the project, please.
Andy Leith of Greenlee Design, and this is the developer right here. I'll let him introduce himself.
Armando Estrada from Sand Creek Partners. Thanks for having us back again. You asked what had changed. So part of that, the going door to door, was letting the residents know that we'll memorialize in our documents that any compressor work or excessive noise, but definitely compressor work, the doors will have to be down. Like you said, if you put the doors down, it's not going to eliminate the noise, but it's going to reduce the noise. And you guys mentioned quiet hours. We're okay with implementing quiet hours. All that to say, though, our customers, our typical customers, have not necessarily been, we'll call them the gearheads, that are out there making noise. So it's not to say that there's not going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4 that need to be regulated by those rules.
Whoa, what did you say about gearheads now?
Those are the guys that are using the compressors, right, and doing the tear downs and making more of the noise.
That's anybody that's a car enthusiast that's going to store their vehicle.
What we've seen with our customers is that they're the people that store the car in the unit, bring people over, hang out, look at the cars, talk about the cars, not the ones that are generally working on the cars. And it has to do with the demographic and the research that we have in terms of incomes and things of that nature. These folks aren't the ones that are actually doing the work on their cars, and they're not doing them in their garages. It's really the storage.
There again, I'm with you, but this is in my sandbox. I don't go along with that data at all, but go ahead.
Yes.
How many units is it?
Right now, it's planned for 70 units. We're still considering taking offers for regular office buildings and things of that nature. But in order to get the approval and do the PGC, we put everything in there. We're talking to a couple of people for those. So more than likely, it will shrink, but it's 70 some odd.
But I foresee a scenario in which there is some kind of issue. You're obviously not going to have a full-time on-site manager. They call the city, call law enforcement. There's noise. They're being bothered by whatever. We don't have a tool to enforce that. And so as you work on your documents, and I would like to see them before the final master development.
The city can't enforce those.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The city cannot enforce those, but I would like to see them and what your plan is to make sure that they are adhered to.
What I'd like to see is a petition from these residents. We had a bunch of people show up against it.
Right.
I see nobody here standing up for it.
So
I'm not against it. I'm just saying that I see the issues that Sean's pointing out.
Right.
You know.
I mean, I see this train coming down this
people,
track.
if they're okay with it, have them come up here and tell us they're okay with
And
it.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, y'all contacted probably about, what, 90% of them?
Yeah, we
I mean,
went
they
door to door,
contacted probably
talked to
about
people.
90% of them. And I don't think y'all probably didn't, did y'all have anybody say they were against it?
No, no one said they were against it. Now, we knocked on doors, not everybody answered their doors, but we went around. I've got 2 additional documents signed by Gary Wood and Mr. Clement, who were 2 of the most vocal against it, and now they're for it. They also sent the email saying that the HOA itself was
That's
for
no
it.
problem.
So we can go around and do that and try to get more signatures.
Yeah, I
if
appreciate
that's
what you're
we need.
saying, but also would like to have assurance of that, because, I mean, really, in a way, it's kind of out of sync for what we typically do with, the work session and the first reading and the second reading, and so it's been a long, long time. And so these people over there, how do I know they don't think it's gone away? And so that's why nobody's here against it. I don't expect anybody to show up and speak up for it, because that
It
just
just
doesn't
doesn't
happen,
happen.
right?
I went there Sunday, so it was just now, and so that's why I had Gary and Mr. Clement date what they signed here, saying that they were in support of it. So I just went back out this Sunday and talked to as many folks as we could to
I
make
appreciate
sure it was
you doing
okay.
that, I really do.
Let them know the meeting was happening, so no matter what their mood was, said, hey, come
I
over
don't
at
expect
6
anybody to show
o'clock.
up for it,
Yeah,
but I also want people against it to be aware so that they can
Yeah.
show up in opposition.
To give you an idea, I probably bought 10 muscle cars in the last 6 days. Like I said, I'm going tomorrow. A lot of these people have the additional room at their house to store a car. A lot of people don't. So a lot of people have cars that are put into storage buildings that I see that they work on them.
Right.
A lot of people are using developments like yours, which I think is a great thing. And a lot of these developments are associated with tracks that they can run on and drive on, and then you got to be way out in the country somewhere
Right.
to do that. But they're really sought after and really in need. But you're also offering a service right here that is going to be to the consumer that has a car that he's not going to be driving every day. So that's going to be a car that he's going to like. It's going to probably be a performance car or something like that. Is he going to take a BMW, it's an everyday driver, up there and put it off-site and put it into a building? I doubt that. It'd have to be some kind of special car, special BMW. But when you get a bunch of guys hanging around together, I know what's going to happen. At this point right now, as far as my vote goes, is how close are these houses to this development?
So we have Warwick, and they're immediately across the street. So it's a stone's throw. It'd be like your neighbor, the house being across the
And
street.
then that's where the car facility would be?
Correct.
Now, this would be a Pascal question, but there's people that are airplane enthusiasts, and there's neighbors out there that I've heard that there's neighborhoods that they fly their planes in, and they can take their planes and park them at their house. But I'm sure that whole neighborhood's going to be filled with enthusiasts over airplanes. But is this neighborhood going to be filled with car enthusiasts?
It's going to be car owners, it's going to be RV owners, boat owners, folks that have four-wheelers, things like that. And the reason why I say our demographics show that it's less of the people that work on their cars is because it's folks that doll up the unit to hang out. So it becomes that hobby cave as opposed to the workshop, and that's who we market to, and that's what our demographics and the research has shown, and that's what we've done at other locations. So for sure there will be people that work on the vehicles. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but you're not going to have that many people out there doing it. And the other thing that we talked to the neighbors about was impact, right? So why is this potentially better than your walk-up retail, which is what initially a lot of these guys thought they were going to have there. And we just showed them, number of trips per day. So if you got a retail shopping center, for every 1,000 feet, there's 37 trips per day. For a regular office building, it's 10 trips per day. For this type of storage that we're talking about, the condo, it's 0.17 trips per day. So it just showed that the
I could see
impact
that
was
being
less.
less trips, but I could see it being more impactful because of the noise.
But that was their concern. So I know that's your concern, but the concern of the residents when they were here last time, a couple of the guys called me some fun names saying, this guy's gonna bring traffic and trucks and all this noise here. And when I showed them this opportunity and said, this is gonna make it a fraction of those trips, that was one of the things that made them excited, in addition to the noise mitigation.
I'm somebody that has invested into the future of this hobby, and I hope that younger people will pass that along, because I would certainly like to see that the value of things go up, rather than this new generation of kids coming out here don't care nothing about them, then all of a sudden, here we go. So it's not that I'm not against it at all, because I think Gallatin needs it, but I think the location is a must. It's like our gun range, it's like a drag strip, it's so on. At this time, with the house being so close, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to support it unless I had some more data.
Understood. And that's why we went and talked to the residents, because they do support it.
Pascal just sent an email out, but it was talking about, thing from the homeowner association. that
Yeah, and they're in support of it.
Whoever
Yeah,
whoever had called me, but it's townhomes. You know where it's at? It's behind my old office.
But by where?
Behind my old office.
Yes.
So it's townhomes is what it is. So they've got a pretty good homeowners association, okay? Pretty tight. So they signed off on it.
Yeah,
The HOA signed off on it.
I just forwarded
Was
you
they
the email.
presented in the way that I know what's about to happen there, or are they presenting in the way that he's presenting it? That's,
Well, your way and his way, you're not going to agree.
hey, promise you my way, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're not, and I see where he's coming
I've been
from,
around it
because
too long.
you got a market to where, what are y'all charging per unit, or what is average?
That was no cheap.
Probably somewhere between 300 to 400,000 a unit, so it would be accretive to the value of the
Yeah, I
surrounding
mean,
homes as well. We
You
talked
know who's
about
doing
that.
these now? Cliff Ernst that passed away. And a lot of my buddies are going down there because they don't live in a neighborhood that they can work on a car in a garage in their neighborhood. You can't do it in my neighborhood, so they're going to have somewhere to go and do it. That's what this is going to happen. I'll vote it. I'll be glad to vote it, but I just don't, I don't want to vote it, but if everybody else is going to vote it, I don't want to be the one to stick in the mud, but I just feel that train's coming down that track.
You're right, it's more about the storage aspect, and that's where we see with our demographics and our research. You're right, in the HOAs, you can't store your RV outside, you can't store your boat outside, so it's people looking to either buy it for the first time and have a place to store it. so
Well,
they can
if it's
use it.
storage, let's drop the ceilings way down low.
Well, it truly does concern me that,
Okay.
you guys are saying these things are true, and an email was just sent, but had no idea of any changes to the plans, that these meetings had happened, that there was, this coming back. And it's kind of like when you first put a project out there and you have to notice people, and then, a year goes by, or not a year, 9 months probably since. 9 months goes by and it's gone away, and they're not looking for it, and there's no sign alerting them to it. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
That's why we went back to talk to them, and why I tried to get those additional signatures. And the HOA letter is new, so that's one of the reasons why maybe it didn't get disseminated. And I apologize that you didn't get the notice. I did call everybody up here, I believe, and if I didn't talk to you directly, I left a message.
I was out of town all
trying to
the
Yeah,
let
I had a
you know.
message last week that was coming back on the agenda.
Yeah,
but
and so I was trying to
figured you would
communicate
be here with
everything.
details.
But nothing's actually
Yeah,
changed
this
in
letter
the
was
plan.
sent on March 21st, but just sent.
Yeah, I just forwarded to you.
Yes,
That
I
was
know, I
sent to
see
me.
that,
Well,
but I had no knowledge of it till
Let me
today.
ask you this, what size are these buildings? Do they have different sizes that you can rent?
They do. No,
What's the smallest size?
you say rent? There's no rent.
Or own, what's the
This is buy
smallest
only.
unit?
It's a little bit under 800 square feet.
Okay, give me the width and the length. It'd be 10 by,
20 by 40.
okay, what's the height of the ceiling?
Here, look.
Oh, yeah.
They're like 20-foot
24
ceilings.
by 32.
Okay, what's the height of the ceilings?
The purpose of the ceiling, it's like a 20-footer with a 14-foot garage door, is to be able to get in the RV that's, like the bus-style RV, the big ones. Because a
Or
lot of
put in
people
the,
will
or
buy
put in the
those.
lifts?
Well, no, and people will put in lifts, because what they want to do is
I've got
have-
storage lifts too. I got lifts that goes up because,
you can put a cart underneath or look at it, do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to use your pneumatic stuff, close your door.
So we had submitted HOA documents
Correct. Yeah.
to planning, so they're in the system somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't think we've made any,
I know. Ms. McCauley's making the point, we can't enforce those.
Right. But you guys are
But our interest was knowing that you had some kind of,
no, but the community can.
Structure.
Yeah, the city can't, but the community can enforce
right,
those.
right. And And are you all going to be are you going to be part of their HOA, or are you going to?
No, they won't be a part of Preston Park Residential Homeowners Association. That's why they wanted us to take that pond back too. They don't want to be commingling anything. So they'll be separate and be managed by another group. And for that first 2 years that we go through it, what I told everyone that I talked to is y'all already have my phone number. If you have any of these issues where someone's making some noise, you call me directly. And we're going to come down on top of these guys in the beginning if they're not following the rules.
Yeah, but if they own them, I mean, really, if we don't have
Once
any.
it's built,
Well,
we're all kind of stuck with it.
Well, no, but it's the guidance, it's having a fine structure. We work with fine structures to make people do things correctly.
In
And a lot-
theory, yeah.
A lot of it's education. So people will do it because they don't pay attention. So even if you give them the contract and say, hey, don't forget, we've got these top 5 things that are no-nos. Even put up signs that say, if you're going to use your compressor, you've got to close the door. I'd be happy to post those all around the entire area so everyone knows. It's that education part. Because it's a community. You know best that this is a community of folks, whether it's the RV folks, whether it's the boating folks, whether it's the car folks, and they'll work together. And they want it to be a nice place. And they got to be respectful to their neighbors.
Else?
When he says take back the pond, they transferred ownership.
Yeah.
So they now own the pond as opposed to the HOA owning the pond.
Correct.
Well, I'm gonna say that be careful what you ask for. You might get it. If 90% of them say it's okay, let's give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the only way that we can see that is if it's documented. I mean, I'm not saying anybody, I mean, you said a lot of people didn't answer the door. I mean, and
That's why we just said the number of people that he talked to, yeah.
well, all I've heard is 2, so
No, he said 2 signed off on it.
signed off. But I mean, that's the only solid number that I have evidence of, if I'm.
Well, and the HOA has their meeting, and so everyone in the community is aware that the HOA has come out in support of it, and they were given the opportunity to come here
pretty tight
today
HOA community.
to come and say no. And obviously, we got a pretty good response on the no response in the public comments one, or the middle one. So I'm taking the non-response as part of, and the signatures that I've gotten and the talking to of the support between the HOA saying that they want it. And again, we did talk about the noise. You know, we didn't talk about people sitting there revving their vehicles and whatnot. And I said, we're not going to allow it, and we're going to make sure that the doors are closed. But you're right, that's coming from me. So if you position it differently, maybe they take it another way. But
I mean,
that's part of the conversation that we had with them, and they got
When,
comfortable with
when
it.
was the HO meeting specifically about this?
Right before that letter was sent, so it all happened pretty tight.
How many people attended?
Oh, I wasn't there. I asked to be invited, and they didn't offer for me to go.
We don't know how many people were at the meeting.
Well, you know, if I lived over there and owned a place and it was presented to me, it'd be like a storage unit, then I wouldn't really have too much to say against it as long as it looked nice and a good place. But if it was presented to me that this is going to be what I'm envisioned, that seeing what it's going to turn into, then I would have concern. But one thing I was going to ask Craig is, this is behind where your business, where you sold your business back in there. Is it behind? Is it near the? Was it Holiday Inn or the
Kiki's.
It's right behind Kiki's.
You look at Kiki's and run all
It's
the way
right behind
back
Kiki's.
to a Poplar.
It backs up to there.
30 feet across, it's 30 feet from a house, probably.
Oh, it is. It's close to a house, but it's not right in the middle of the development.
Down on, yeah.
You know the town, okay. You know Kiki's.
I know,
You know
yeah.
where Brian Harris Homes is. You know those rows of townhomes right behind there? It's the Belvedere side.
Yeah, the empty lots on the Belvedere side, correct?
Between, you know, the strip mall on Belvedere and, you know, the center of Tulip Poplars it whips around.
Since this is a second vote, we voted on it one time back, a while back, and got the first reading passed. And then we had some opposition, some questions. So that's why we've waited for a while, and it's been presented back again. But there's not much changes other than him or somebody presenting this to the HOA and talking to the HOA. Do we have to do this vote right now, or should we,
That is the
You know
will
what
of
I'm
this
saying?
body, not my decision.
guys, should we turn around and try to reach out to some of these people?
And
tell
truly,
them-
Ms. Collie keeps telling me, we can't consider, you know, who is saying this or who isn't saying that based on
Well, I
what's.
understand that.
You know, it's just, is it right, is it wrong for the area, and are the changes acceptable? This is the PMDP phase.
well,
What I know is that when that came the first time, people were unhappy about it. They called me we had a meeting. I went there, I met, we had 20 plus people showing up. Andy was not there because he knows better, but he sent one of his guys there, and I think you were stuck
Hurricane, yeah.
in a hurricane, but you were on the phone with everybody, and everything was presented the way, so people know it's not just going to be storage. And that's when I actually voted no for it, because that's what they wanted me to do, and that's where they started to do their homework and accept that later from the board of HOA. Like Craig said, they tight HOA. They all know what's happening there. I haven't heard anything, and they have my number. So if they were unhappy, I would know about it.
I think one of the other things they did like with the setup is that we're up against the road. And so we talked about, in addition to the car counts, if it was walk-up retail or office or something like that, the parking would front their homes. And if y'all know the interior of those homes, a couple of the bedrooms face Warwick. So at night, they would be subjected to the street lighting coming in, whereas ours would have more subdued, residential lighting, because we're going to make our building, and that's what we have submitted to y'all, the plan showing that it's a residential facade to make sure it matches what's over there. And so that's another component that excited them, the reduction in traffic, reduction in light pollution, because there's 1 or 2 rooms that are right on that side.
Unless they kept their doors open on a warm night, will these units be heated and cooled?
Yes.
All of the door units are interior, so they wouldn't.
Yeah, it's interior circulation.
So all of the door units face in, nothing's facing Warwick.
These are heated and cooled units.
Should be.
Yeah.
No, that make you feel.
I mean, you could insulate the doors and kind of soundproof stuff too. I mean, you're not gonna be out there at 1 or 2 in the morning or 6.
No, and they cannot be there at that hour. I mean, that starts getting into, I think, I can't get out of line, but Gallatin codes or what have you, like, you can't be doing stuff at that hour anyway.
No, Sean, if that make you feel better, I can remove my motion. You can make a motion to defer for the next one, and that doesn't matter to me.
I would
and
feel-
if people
and-
have issues, they can show up. But
Listen, if you guys beat me out on a vote, that's fine. I mean, part of me wants to vote it because I love that type of, I think it's needed in Gallatin. That part of me I'm scared too, because it's so close to the houses, and once the people, one bad egg can spoil a whole bunch. I think you're going to end up with a lot of hot rodders over there. I think it's needed in Gallatin, and I'm part of me scared to do the vote because I travel to these places. I've been there. I've done it.
Right now, we stand with a motion.
I make a motion that we just, I'm listening to you, Craig.
No, I was going to say that, I know firsthand that homeowner association is very, very tight over there. I mean, by having an office there, and I dealt with them before on some other stuff, and they are. And also, I think the design of their building kind of helps out too, because what he was saying is that they're facing, the facades are going to kind of look like the townhomes, condos, whatever. And you're not, the doors aren't going to be open on that side facing those homes. So, all the noise is going to be kind of going back towards the commercial, which is Belvedere, or in the middle, wherever it is. But, that's why I think that, I could be wrong, but I don't think you can get anybody else to come back up here. I don't. I mean, I think once that HOA meeting, like Pascal said, he was there. I mean, I really think that.
no, I was not at the HOA
Oh,
meeting. I
well,
said
yeah.
I had the meeting before that.
Yeah.
Where we are now is we have a motion and a second for approval, so we are ready to vote unless there is different action.
I do whatever you want. If you want me to remove my motion and you want to defer to the next one, I do that.
Do a motion to defer after that, it's okay.
I don't think it's necessary to defer. I think that you've done your due diligence in the community. They sent us emails and they sent us feedback about it. I know I haven't received any negative feedback about it, so I think at this time we can just go ahead and vote and do what we need to do.
No, I'm okay with that.
Call for the question.
Motion to call for question.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor of second reading on ordinance 02407-33, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It is unanimously approved. Item
They didn't
3
do
is
that to
second
you,
reading
buddy.
on ordinance 02503-15. Councilman Fennell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $77,000 from Project Warhawk for Engineering Division and Planning Department expenses. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Councilman Juvance. Any questions, any discussion? This is second reading on ordinance 02503-15. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Item 4 is second, it passes unanimously, I'm sorry. Item 4 is second reading on ordinance 02503-17. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance awarding bid for the Sumner County Regional Water Transmission Main Project Line, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Vice Mayor Hayes. Are there any questions? Is there any discussion? Second reading on ordinance 02503-17. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Unanimously approved. Item 5, second reading on ordinance 02503-18. Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance awarding bid for the Sumner County Regional Water Transmission Main Project Line C. Make a motion to move.
Motion to approve by Councilman Jones. Second by Councilman Carter. Any questions, any discussion on this? This is second reading on ordinance 02503-18. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say no. Does pass unanimously on second reading. Item 6 is first reading on ordinance 02504-20. Councilman Juvance.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning 0.33 acres from an agricultural residential district to the PGC Planned General Commercial District with a preliminary master development plan from the Freedom Church out parcel on 0.88 acres and part of the Kensington Downs master plan located west of Greenlee Boulevard and south of Grandstand Boulevard, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinance, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And open for motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, open for discussion.
I've been out of pocket, so I really don't know what this is about. If somebody wants to explain it to me just a little bit.
Yeah, it's in front of Freedom Church on Greenlee, the place where we were putting all the signs during the election 4 years ago. There is a parcel was given to them by
I know what it's about
Kensington
now.
Downs.
Property that they want to
absolutely, yeah.
develop with
Okay.
commercial purpose, so.
So I'm okay with commercial. I think we need more commercial, but I still have an issue with the way that parcel is accessed. I just think that's going to create issues, but that's my concern.
I'm starting to remember now, but this was a piece that was where the road had changed in that area or something, and the Freedom Church wants that piece back and deeded back to them.
Now, this is a piece that they have, that they are seeking to develop in a commercial way. And you know how that road is odd over there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so the access is not optimal, but doesn't have other alternatives. I mean,
There's
that
no
work.
other way.
Huh?
There's no other way. really,
Right.
To make it
So it's,
that way.
This all goes back, though, at the start of them wanting that piece of property back now.
I don't remember the genesis. that we
Yeah,
had
that's
what
when they
we-
had to change a road. That's
Okay,
what was
I
given
remember
to them to go from Kensington.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
Okay, so we have a
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor Hayes.
Second.
Second by Councilman Jones. Any further discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02504-20. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
When I abstain.
Passes first reading 6-0, one abstention. Item 7 is first reading on ordinance 02504-21. Councilman Juvance.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, approving a preliminary master development plan for Wawa Longolo Park on a 3.53 acre portion of parcel located south of Longolo Park and west of Greenlee Boulevard, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinance, providing for severability and providing for ineffective debt. Motion for discussion.
Motion to discuss, second by Councilman Carter. Open for discussion. Vice Mayor Hayes, you're making us.
To vote on that?
Oh, sorry. Vote on discuss. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, one of the biggest issues, I guess, they're going to be working with the state, right?
Yeah, but they've got to figure that out. I mean,
Okay, so that would not have anything to do with us, really. I mean, even if we get it approved first, second reading, then that's they might come back and say, no, we're not going to do this, so, okay, all right.
I will say these are top-notch stores if you've ever been in Wawa.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I received the email, and I think it was from the Javances, and it showed a picture of my truck down in Randy Isaacson's field that was flooded.
That's not where this is going.
Okay, where is this going?
Corner of Greenlee and Long Hollow Pike, right on the corner.
Across from side one.
So when you're on Greenlee and you hit Long Hollow, I mean, you're about to get to Long Hollow Pike, it's on the right side?
Left side. It's across from, what's it
Site
called?
one at
Site one.
Landscape Nursery Place right there, yeah.
It's across the street from it?
Yeah.
But it's on the same side of the road as, it's not on the same side of the road as Site One, it's across the
It's
street.
across from-
Right, it's the other side of Long Hollow.
Take a left on Greenlee, it's right there on the corner. That entrance, will it be on the, like, will that line up with the site ones?
Yeah.
They'll have another entrance on Greenlee?
It's going to be right in, right out, I believe. Yeah.
Kind of like the one on down the road at Station Camp. Councilman Shabazz.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to reiterate, I live there, so I see what's happening with that land. And I see what's happening on Longolo Park right now. Even coming tonight, we're backed up by the light all the way past the nursery there. So I think that entry is bad. Even if there is a line to go in, and if they do that like the Publix down there on Longolo Park, that entry is so dangerous. It's unbelievable. I don't know how people haven't got hurt yet by night. There is no signalization on the turn lane. And again, whatever land we're going to move there is going to impact the flood, the flow of water and the way that's going to flood down there. So again, I look into Wawa. Didn't know who they are. They look like a good store and good thing, but I'm really concerned. I'm concerned about flooding down there because, again, if it's real and that happens, it's not the city issue anymore. That means the people who are going to get flooded had to go civil against the builder. So but we should not authorize that. And I think before authorizing something where we know it's right, I look at the plan, they're telling me it's right at the limit of the flood zone, but that's maybe in the flood zone. We should have a little more information, and now entering 30 or 40 feet of dirt, basically creating a full plateau there who's not there, is going to impact the flow of water on the downsized property, and that's my main concern. The rest, I have no issue with it.
I think that's discrediting our stormwater, because I think we all realize that you cannot build something and cause any more water to leave your site than already does. And I don't want
No,
people to believe that can happen.
I understand that, Mayor, but there is a difference between what's going to be on the paper and what's really happening on the ground.
Okay.
And
But you said that it was going to flood other people. I mean,
I think-
that is kind of discrediting our stormwater people or whoever, engineers or whoever, because you're basically saying that you're an engineer and they're not, because you're saying it's going to flood other people. Well, they're saying that they're going to make it to where it's not.
I say I have a concern that will happen.
Well, you're saying that. There's no proof to that.
But there is no proof that won't happen.
That's true with anything we do.
It is true. It's true with anything you do.
But
You can step out here and get hit by a car. There's no proof
But
of
water
that.
flows based on grade and volume, retention and volume and all the things.
That's why engineers
And-
design it. to
And I
where-
know a lot of people sometimes think that this or that is causing flooding when it's actually just the amount of water in the period of time. But I really do think that, we're all in trouble if we can't trust engineers that try and figure out how to redirect water and contain water. And I think we have pretty good success at improving some things. I mean, we've made a lot of progress, got a long way to go on some things, but we have made progress. And anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Time will tell.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Vice Mayor Hayes, second by Councilman Carter. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor of first reading on ordinance 02504-21, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
Mayor, well, I'm going to do an extension, abstain, and the reason being, I don't mind telling you, is across kind of a street from there is one of my good friends' farm, and I know what's fixing to come up or what he's thinking about, and I haven't discussed anything about this with him, so I'm going to abstain from this vote.
You can abstain, but, if you, I can't tell if you're trying to say there's a potential conflict, or are you trying to say that there's a potential conflict, or?
No, I just abstain. That'd be good.
All right. Okay, so it passes 5-1 with one abstention. Item number 8 is first reading on ordinance 02504-22. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $189,600 received from the state of Tennessee for training supplements. Motion to approve.
Second.
By Councilman Carter, second by Councilman Jones. Are there any questions, any discussion? Okay, it's first reading on ordinance 02504-22. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes unanimously. Item 9 is first reading on ordinance 02504-23. Councilman Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance to provide revenue for the city of Gallatin, Tennessee for municipal purposes for the 2025 tax year and the 2026 fiscal year. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilman Carter. Sorry that got assigned to you because this is your first year.
you.
But you do understand that we have 3 readings on this, and we start it now so that we have certainty that we get it passed by the deadline, which is June 30th.
I appreciate that
And-
explanation.
And right now, we're moving forward with the assumption it would be the same, but we have to wait on the number that comes to us, and then we make before we get to the last reading, we make the number be what the number should be, so.
This number is the same as last year's.
At this point, but then we'll get a number from the county, and then we'll go with that or we won't, so. Any other questions on that? Councilman Schwartz?
Until I get the real number, I'm going to abstain.
Anyone else? Okay, it's first reading on ordinance 02504-23. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And one abstention. So 6-0 and another abstention. Item 10 is first reading on ordinance 02504-24. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance amending Gallatin Municipal Code, Chapter 14, Solid Waste, Section 14-9, Collection Service and Fee, and I so move.
We have a motion by Councilman Fan. Second by Councilman Carter, opening the floor for discussion, asking Vice Mayor Hayes for starters if we have any update or if
No,
we're.
I mean, we had a meeting the other, let's see, Friday morning, and we really don't know anything more than.
Do you have a
I think-
time frame in which you think you might?
No, I mean, it's kind of out of our hands, I hate to say, but I mean, it's kind of.
The decision has to be made at some
I
point,
think
and
we're
it
gonna be
needs to be
okay.
made during this budget
Richard
year.
and I talked about it. I think we're going to be okay right now, going to 21.
So you're going to stay with 21 at this
Yep.
point? Okay. That helps us know at least what we're asking for. So right now, we're on first reading on ordinance 02504-24. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, I'll judge that is unanimously 7-0. Item 11 is first reading on ordinance 02504-25. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $100,000 from the general fund unassigned fund balance to 110-413-10-937-290 Clearview Park. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Carter,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Hayes, opening the floor for the discussion. I have no issues with going ahead and allocating this money. I have had outreach from a department that thinks they might have a better solution, so if we wind up not spending the money, that will be okay. So,
Yeah, thank you for bringing that. I thought everybody was on the email, but yeah.
oh, maybe so, I didn't see that. Huh. Well, I don't think there was debate, so it's okay if it was sent, but no, there was no back and forth that I saw. Well, I say that, I'm not, anyway.
No, there wasn't.
Okay. All right, so this is first reading on ordinance 02504-25. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Passes 7-0. Item 12 is resolution R2503-17. Councilman Fennell.
Yes, Mayor, this is a resolution authorizing the loan of a public works garbage truck to the city of Portland. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fennell, second by Councilman Carter. Any questions, any discussion? Seeing none, this is resolution R2503-17. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Unanimously approved. Item 13 is resolution R2503-18. Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution authorizing the fire department to apply for the 2025 Auto Club Group Foundation Grant. Motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Carter. Any questions, any discussion? Resolution R2503-18. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Unanimously approved. Item 14 is resolution R2504-19. Vice Mayor Hayes.
Yeah, this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign Second Amendment to Project Phoenix Memorandum of Understanding. Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor Hayes.
Second.
Second by Councilman Fennell, opening the floor for any discussion. But before there's discussion, I do want to be clear, this does not commit to anything. It extends their exclusivity so that they can continue what they're doing and we can continue what we are doing. And we do not have anything but cost estimate.
I think y'all had a briefing from Rosemary, is that correct?
We
Last
did,
week while I was
just
gone. I'm going to try to call her maybe and have a little catch up with her if I can.
Just
Okay.
kind of where we were, and we're asking for an extension on the exclusivity through September. There's a lot of discussion about what every element was going to cost. I told this body that they really need direction because I've been really wanting to retain City Hall in the plan because I felt like that was important. But then when I had met with them a couple of weeks ago, and they actually showed me kind of a schematic whereby if City Hall went away and parking could be placed subterranean, it would not have a big old parking garage in the middle of it. Whereas if City Hall stayed, then we would have to have a big parking garage. And we have, one of the things that we have figured out in dealing with the parking assessment needs, we need more parking than we wanted to have to need, which means a bigger garage, which means less aesthetic and also less room for revenue generating. And so I asked for this body to think so we could, at some point in the next few weeks, give the firm some guidance on whether we think it makes better sense to build a new city hall with a smaller footprint or to proceed with renovating this with a smaller footprint and subterranean parking, or retain this building with a tower-type garage. I'll remind you all that we are in a scenario where we definitely have to locate Fire Hall 1. In time, we're going to need a new police department, and whether this building is replaced or retrofitted, the cost is not going to be dissimilar than if we do it through Project Phoenix. The key difference would be that with Project Phoenix, we would actually have revenue to support some of these efforts versus all of it being taxpayer funded. So that is the whole reason that we are even pursuing an idea like this, is because it generates revenue, whereas without something like this, we would just be doing it without new revenue, basically. So be with existing revenue. So that's what the motion is, and that's what we have on the table. Now I'll answer any questions. All right, this is Resolution R2 504-19. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 15 is Resolution R2 504-20. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution supporting the City of Gallatin's application for the 2025 State of Tennessee Department of Health Healthy Built Environment Grant, and I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilman Carter. Are there any questions, any discussion? Okay, it's Resolution R2 504-20. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Passes unanimously. And that concludes the regular agenda. It brings us now to other business. I just want you all to be aware that Rachel and I are endeavoring to get the budget presentation next week. We've been a little bit challenged because our third partner in our compensation plan has been absent, but she laid good foundation, and I think Ms. Nichols and I are making great progress, and thinking that I'll get it together and get it shown to you at least on first glance next Tuesday. That's my plan. And with that, anyone else with any other business this evening? Okay, public recognition on non-agenda related items. Ladies and gentlemen that have stuck around, this is the time of the meeting that you get to speak to anything that's not on the evening's agenda, and I would welcome you to do so. Same as at the first of the meeting, name, address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Public recognition on non-agenda related items is now open. Okay, see no one indicating they wish to speak. Public recognition is now closed, and we need one more motion this evening. Motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're adjourned. Have a lovely evening. Have a wonderful Easter week and spend some time thinking about the season. I wish you all the very best. Good night.
Got to limit this to 2 people a day.